when I was diagnosed, I was heartbroken. I was like, am I going to be around to watch my kids grow up? Are my kids going to have to see what I had to see with my dad? Because that was a very traumatizing event for me. My name is Kandi. I was diagnosed with stage 3 adenoid cystic carcinoma on April 17th of 2024. I am from a small town in Alabama. I have 3 kids. I'm married. I really love doing makeup, obviously. I've always been into like fashion and just making, I'm really goofy. I like making people laugh, putting smiles on people's faces. I am a realtor here in Alabama. I am also co-owner of a roofing and renovations company with my husband that we started in 2019. And I'm just a family girl. Cancer is really not a foreign language to me at all. My grandmother and my father as well both passed away with cancer. So I've seen it firsthand, but I've been on like the other side of it. So I kind of ruled everything out as postpartum because I had just had my 3rd baby. I was very fatigued. I had headaches almost every day, which was kind of abnormal for me because I was like, this is kind of weird, but I just kind of played it off. I was like really low on energy. Of course, I ruled that as postpartum. My anxiety was like out the roof, which I've dealt with anxiety my whole life, basically. So, of course, I ruled that as anxiety and depression. And I didn't have any like hair loss, but my hair just wasn't growing. It completely quit growing and it looked just so dead and fried. And then, we go to like more of the TMI symptoms of, using the bathroom. It was always like sickly smelling. And it wasn't, this is so TMI, it wasn't like ever solid. It was always just that like really like runny, just sickly poop. I was staying a little bit bloated, but I don't know if, that was maybe post baby. But, oh, and then another really big one, and this would only happen every once in a while. My tongue would feel like it was on fire. Like after you eat something and like maybe your taste buds, like you put something really hot in your mouth and your taste buds are like, ouch, it scorches your taste buds. Now that would only happen every once in a while. And I'm like, did I eat something that was like, did I scorch my taste buds? But like it would run like all the way to the tip of my tongue. So that was another big thing. But that didn't happen all the time. It was very rare that happened. I had a tumor that started growing in my salivary gland. And of course, me, I'm like, it's something else. It's got to be from I had braces at the time. So I'm like, well, maybe I have an infection from my braces or something, the metal. So I had went to my first ENT. I was actually at a brokerage meeting in February of last year. And I don't look at my mouth every single day. So I was at a brokerage meeting and I was eating and the food I couldn't swallow it. It got lodged in, I guess lodged in the back of my tumor. So I immediately got up, went to the bathroom and, I had to get it out, like lodge it out or whatever. And I looked at my tongue and I was like, whoa, like this thing is massive. I couldn't even see like my left side of my tonsil. And I was like, I've got to go see somebody. So the first ENT that I went to, he was actually in Pell City, Alabama. And he had been doing it for 49 years. So he looks at it. We do the endoscopy and stuff. And he's like, in my 49 years, I've never seen nothing like this. So he referred me out to a different ENT specialist at UAB in Birmingham. They were wanting to see me the next day. So at this time, I had a insurance that was kind of out of network for those places. So I was having like pay out of pocket, and I was like, I can't go tomorrow. Like, let's schedule it, maybe for like 2 or 3 weeks out. So I actually, and this was back in March when I had seen him. So the first time that I had seen my actual doctor now, my ENT at UAB, was on April the 3rd. They did the endoscopy. He looked at it. We did the biopsy. And, 2 weeks later, I'm going back down to get my results. And he's like, it's adenoid cystic carcinoma. So I'm not going to say I kind of got the runaround, but they, at the time, didn't really know what stage it was. So at first, I was hearing maybe a stage 1 to 2. Okay, so, and that was on April 17th. So by April 22nd, I'm having my first surgery done. So typically when you're at a stage 3, which is what it came back to being, it typically is like spreading your lymph nodes, like right here in your neck and stuff, because it's all like, it all runs together. So they cut out 30 lymph nodes on my first surgery, which was on April the 22nd of 2024. No cancer in those. So that was amazing. It was such a blessing. I was like, God's definitely working in my life, And I had never had, prior to this, I never had any surgeries before, never been put to sleep. So I was terrified. And so they did the first surgery, and I stayed at UAB I checked in Monday night on the 16th of April, and I was discharged that Saturday. Well, my second surgery, which was on Thursday on the 25th, is when they actually went out to cut the tumor out on the baseline of my tongue. And, they pulled out, they cut out, they have to cut out a little bit more, than your tumor, just to make sure it hasn't spread to any other tissues nearby or whatever. And, after I got out of the surgery and stuff, they were like, you're not going to be able to talk. You're not, it's going to be a while for you to eat. I had feeding tubes. I had my drain tube and stuff. And this was all new to me. I was like, I've got to talk. I'm a talker, I want to make somebody smile, I come out of surgery and I was like, I was talking, and, of course, like as the day progressed, of course, I wrote on, a notepad for the rest of the day. I was so determined to not come home with anything. I was wanting to get out of there as quickly as possible. So that Saturday morning when I was getting discharged, I was taking my medicine orally. I didn't have to use my, feeding tube or nothing, because they were watering it down and I was sticking it in the tube and doing it like that. And they took it out. They said I was doing great. I was able to, eat, like yogurt and stuff like that, and salt. I wasn't on solids right now. I was strictly on like the insurers, like maybe yogurt, just easier things that, I would be able to swallow. And I'm like, this ain't me. This is God. He's like really working in my life. Like, I am terrified because, anybody that hears the word cancer, it's automatically like, my life is over with. I'm gonna, it's over for me. And, me being 32 at the time, I'm like, I'm so young, and I'm just seeing more and more people get diagnosed at such a younger age than, what we've seen years ago. And I was terrified, honestly, but I was like, God has worked so much in my life in these past few days. Like, I'm just going to hand it all over to Him.
I just want to tell y'all how good God is. I'm not supposed to be able to talk right now. They told me it could be up to weeks before I ever talked again. And I'm talking. I was supposed to come home with, my feeding tube, my drain tubes. I have none of that. My battle scar is healing really good. I got discharged from the hospital Saturday with nothing. They were very surprised. They said I was doing really good, but it's not me, it's God.
I'm not going to say the fear went away like right after all of that, because there's still that, I call it scanxiety. Um, and I know anybody that has cancer can relate to what that is. You get really nervous, anxious, like, did it come back? There was months after I come home and I was like, ugh, like, did it come back? I'm so nervous. They didn't know if they had cut it all during the surgery at first. So I was getting calls, from UAB. They were telling me, like, hey, like, we're putting you on the tumor board. We're going to meet with the radiologist, oncologist, like all these people, your surgeons, to see if, radiation, anything else is needed. And, I got that phone call and they were like, they're expecting to do a little bit of radiation. And with the type of cancer that I have, we're talking about 1,200 people a year statistically getting diagnosed with this type of cancer, which is very, very small compared to other cancers. I had never heard of this cancer in my life until I was diagnosed with it. I was like, what is this? And the more research that I've done, I was like, okay, I've got to change my diet. I was always really big into working out. I drank my water like I was supposed to, but I was still, doing things that I don't do now. I'm on a very clean diet. I do more of the natural approach now, as far as I do 6-week detoxes. I use like natural remedies, like I do cat's claw, lion's mane, B17, all these different methods that I think that it's helped me out a lot. So, with that being said, I am just trying to stay positive. I have learned that the more stressed out that you get over things, it's not good on your body, especially if you're trying to, like, deal with cancer or trying to, figure out the new you, and it's been difficult, but I would say I'm at a better place in my life now than I've ever been. I feel very positive about things. I have a really great relationship with, just everybody. Like and when I got diagnosed, there was just so much support. I mean, people were just throwing me benefits left and right, and they were, donating, and just the amount of money that I donated in that short period of time, I was like, whoa, like, I did not know the impact that I had on people. Like, I know, like, this is amazing. Like, this is all God, because at UAB, my insurance was out of network as well. So I had to come up with a large down payment to even have my surgery. And my sweet, precious granddaddy was like, here, like, go get your surgery done. He had just he lost his son 5 years ago, my daddy. And, I seen the fight that my dad pulled up, which he had colon cancer that had already spread to his liver. So he done almost 70 rounds of chemo and radiation. I knew that wasn't the approach that I was trying to take. So I met with the radiologist, and she took one look at me and she said, "You're not doing radiation. You're not doing it." She said, "You're too young. You look good. I was at your tumor board meeting, and you don't need it." She said, it got cut out during surgery. You're good. So I have been seeing my team, every 3 months I have to see them right now. So, I'm not even a year out right now. I'm at 10 months, almost, well, we'll say, yeah, about 10 months, almost 10 months that I've been cancer free. So I'm just trying to do what I can to stay positive. They estimated that I had the cancer for about 10 months before they found it. So, we're talking 10 months from nothing to going to a stage 3. So it's a slow, but it's an aggressive cancer. If it was me, I would say I had it longer, but I'm not the doctor. So I experienced symptoms even when I was pregnant. I had got a genetic test done, since my dad did have cancer, and obviously, he passed away. He was like, hey, before he passed away, he was real big on me and my sister going and getting that genetic test done to see if we carried any of the mutations that he had. And I didn't, but my OB at the time, he was like, I've never seen a test like this before. He was like, I'm going to refer you to an oncologist. And I was like, why? And obviously I was so freaked out. I was still pregnant at the time, and I was like, I'm so young, like he just doesn't know. But I wish I would have listened to him, because there was a time that I went to the doctor and there was some stuff going on with my white blood cell count. I do wish that I would have went and seen an oncologist, because maybe they would have seen something. But I'm gonna just go with what my team is saying. Everything happens for a reason, and I'm not mad about the situation. I'm very grateful that I actually got to go through something like that, because it made me realize how strong I actually was. Looking at my kids and be like, well, like I've had this diagnosis. Like, am I going to be here, my baby, my third baby, she's a little over 1 year old. So, when I was diagnosed, I was heartbroken. I was like, am I going to be around to watch my kids grow up? Or my kids going to have to see what I had to see with my dad? Because that was a very traumatizing event for me. I seen it from start to finish with him, and it was very traumatizing for me. And, not even almost at the 5 year mark of him passing away, I'm finding out that I've got it. And on top of that, we're talking about, 4 out of so many hundreds of thousands of people that only get diagnosed with this. This is relatively rare. And I just, and it does have, a high reoccurrence rate. But I'm not looking at it like that. I know that God has a plan for me. And me going through this has definitely spiritually leveled me up to where I think I'm supposed to be. I have definitely changed a lot. So, um, honestly, I've always been like the fun girl. I've wanted to go out, hang out with my friends, like, let's go eat, have a few drinks. But now, I don't do that. I love spending time with my family. I look at things a lot differently now. Even just, being able to walk outside, and be in the sun, and just things that I took for granted before my diagnosis is different now. I look at things so differently. I cherish every moment that I get. And I think that's another big thing is, when people get diagnosed with cancer, of course, it's heartbreaking, but it's not the end. It's just the beginning to a new era of yourself. And, I've definitely evolved for sure from what I used to be. The scanxiety does get better. I'm not as nervous now as I used to be. Now, I will have a full body scan in April, because typically, if it was to come back, it's gonna come back. It could come back in the same original spot, or it could come back in my lungs. This is, 1% head and neck cancer. Or it could come back in my brain. So, that's a little scary to think about. But like I said, I try to just put my faith in God and just let him lead the way, because the more worry and stress that you put on yourself, it really does take a toll on your body. And I just feel like, maybe don't worry so much, and don't stress yourself out. It's really not, the end, even if it was the end, there's something after this. And it's, maybe just the ending of this, but there's something else. And I think that's what's really helped me get through is just my faith, just getting evolving more, and it's really helped me out. And I'm not gonna say I'm not nervous about this scan coming up in April, but I just go with it now. I just and I have changed my diet up. I'm on a very clean diet. I don't do sodas. I don't do beef or pork anymore. I'm strictly on my MCT diet. And I've incorporated a lot of like natural things to my diet as well. I still love working out. Last year I wasn't even able to lift this arm up because all of these nerves right here were just so connected. But when they went in there to cut out my lymph nodes, they were able to save this nerve right here. And so if you look at some of my, pictures from right after I had my surgery, my facial structure was different, but all that's back now. And, I just worked out, I'm like, I've got to push through. I've got this, I am a survivor. And it's just made me a different person, honestly. I think just hearing the word that, hey, like, you've got cancer, and me being so young, that was really the most shocking part of it, because never in a million years did I think that I was going to be the third generation, on my dad's side to, be diagnosed with cancer. And, just seeing the fight that my grandmother and my dad had to put up, I'm like, wow, this is going to be me. I'm going to have to fight for my life. And, glory to God, they got it all out during surgery. And, I've stuck with my diet. I've stuck with, I do get a little bit of sugar from my coffee, but I'm just coffee and water, and that is it. And it's so satisfying, and I don't need nothing else. I used to be really big on energy drinks, which are very acidic for your body. And so I'm trying to get more into that like alkaline state, which, I mean, after doing a little bit of research, I found that, cancer doesn't really like that too much. So, yeah, I'm just trying to stay positive through it all, and just, stick to what I've been doing. And, there's been more studies come out as far as inflammation and things starting in your gut. And I just really think that, me changing my diet, working out, staying positive, trying not to let the bad days get to me like they used to, not being as stressed out, that it just helps me out more than ever. I would tell people not to give up, to put their faith in God, um, to just keep on going, keep fighting. You've got this, and you're going to make it.